Hi, everyone. Welcome to the third week of Nonfiction Readers Advisory, Beyond the Basics. This week is all about judging the cover and the details, which is central to Nonfiction Readers Advisory. I will be using one example from each page of the successful Nonfiction Readers Advisory that is featured in this week's lecture notes. So I'll be starting with memoirs and biographies. I'll be showing you how I specifically judge the cover and the details when looking at a nonfiction book. So the first book is All That She Carried by Tiana Miles. I'm holding up a copy right now. So the first thing I noticed is the length. It isn't too long. It isn't too short. There are a lot of notes and illustrations here. And this person wanted something that reads like a novel. So length really is a key factor here. For a nonfiction book, the book is relatively short and accessible. The title and subtitle are extremely informative. The author is an established journalist. There are blurbs from fellow writers, authors, academics, which tells me that the book is supposed to appeal to a variety of audiences. There are both archival photos throughout, as well as illustrations, notes, an index, and a guide to historical terminology, and an essay on the research process. This tells me that readers of history and historical fiction would both appreciate this book. So it has some crossover appeal. By skimming through just now, I can tell that it does read like a novel, and it would be ideal for someone who reads between fiction and nonfiction. The patron loved this book and returned for more recommendations. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Sum of Us. I'll hold up another copy. This one kind of falls into the category of politics and current events, but it also spans sociology and history as well. Based on the size of the book, as you can tell, it is pretty hefty. It is heavily researched, making it really ideal for someone who prefers a well-versed history. Again, the title and subtitle here explain the book pretty well. The author, looking at her bio, has a lot of credentials as a researcher and journalist. The front flap provides detail on the book itself. The chapter titles are relatively short, yet informative. There are a few illustrations between chapters, but the book is primarily a lot of research, which I think is really cool. And there are extensive notes and an index at the end. I also noticed there was a list of interviews and when they were conducted. These are the people that the author reached out to and spoke to during the course of her research. For a reader who likes a really well-researched book, I thought this would be a nice touch, and the reader did appreciate this detail. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Next, we have We Were Once a Family by Roxana Asgharian. I wanted to include this example because true crime is popular, as we have mentioned, but true crime that isn't too scary or creepy or murdery is also a popular request. And this book does fit that bill because it can be considered sociology as well. So the book is based on a notable murder-suicide that occurred in 2018. Again, I'm noticing the length here. The book is just over 300 pages, and a significant portion of that is notes. This tells me that the book is very well researched, and looking at the author's credentials on the back flap, she is a journalist who writes about the legal system and the court system, which adds to her credibility. By quickly browsing through the book, I'm looking at the chapter titles, which are very creative. Some of them are based on quotes from family members. The author spent a lot of time talking to remaining family members and how they are dealing with the aftermath of the crime itself. This adds a human interest aspect, and I think it also makes the book ideal for someone who is interested in true crime without the gore or any of the gruesome details. And the last book I will talk about is The Last Days of the Dinosaurs by Riley Black. This was a request from a patron who loves popular science that it's accessible, entertainment, and fun, emphasis on the fun part. This person is most drawn to books by Mary Roach and Elizabeth Kolbert. So I'm thinking accessible, popular science that is also irreverent and easy to read in one sitting. Again, for this book, the title and subtitle are very descriptive here. The book is very short, just over 200 pages, which means it should be fairly accessible. The author, looking at the back flap, has written acclaimed popular science in the past. The table of contents here is fun and engaging. There is a timeline and several illustrations throughout the book, which add additional context. The book has blurbs from scientists, writers, and journalists, which means it should have wide appeal. Each chapter here describes a different animal, which I think is a very unique and fun way to outline a book. The appendix is extremely detailed and covers the author's scientific process and research. I thought this was a nice touch, and the illustrations are also a nice touch, which are featured at the beginning of each chapter. So this patron really liked this book and came back for more recommendations. So that is a quick summary of how I judged the cover and details. I have more examples. If you guys are interested, I'm happy to share them with you. If you want any more advice, guidance, or questions, feel free to reach out to me at any time. I also want to say that it is important that there is no right answer when it comes to Reader's Advisory. Specifically for this last book, there are so many good examples of fun, popular science. This was just one that had just come in and it looked like it was a good fit. However, this is not the only answer. So I think our goal is to be a guide. It's to make suggestions and connections. And to be honest, you won't always get it right. I know I don't, and that's okay. I think the most important thing is to build that trusting relationship. So someone comes back to you and feels comfortable saying that they didn't really love this book, and they tell you why, but they're happy to get more recommendations from you in the future. And they're asking you what they would like to read next. That is the most important. And the readings this week are designed to help you gain a better grasp on nonfiction overall. The optional resources are intended to help you learn more about publishing if desired. And for this week's discussion, I'm eager to hear more about your favorite extras in a nonfiction book. I'm looking forward to reading your answers. Until next time.